Hey everybody, it's Rycard here again, back with another black and white Pokemon upgrade. Today, I'm going to be showcasing you one of the first of many NFEs that have become fairly useful in this generation due to the advent of the item known as the Evolution Stone. But I will get into that later in this video. But this video, as you can see, is based off of how good Golbat can be with this item. So let's get started right away. So first off, as you all probably already know already, Golbat is the pre-evolution of Crobat, but originally it was the final evolution of Zubat, which is why it actually works really well as an NFE with the Evolution Stone. But basically, the Evolution Stone is an item introduced into this generation that gives NFEs, doesn't matter what stage in the evolution they are, a +1 boost to both their physical defense and their special defense, meaning that a lot of Pokemon such as Golbat that are NFEs can be ridiculously bulky with this move, or with this item, I'm sorry. But as I said before, since Golbat was originally the final evolution, that means that when the makers of this game first introduced it, they made its base stats, as at least Golbat's base stats, really good because they weren't really expecting to add the final evolution until Gold and Silver came around. And that's pretty much the case with all of the Pokemon that benefit from the Evolution Stone, because they were originally the final evolution until they were added another one later in the game, or later in the generations. But as you can see, it actually has some pretty good stats to work with, and they're fairly average for a lot of other Pokemon. But 75 HP and 70 defense, along with 75 special defense, actually gives you some really good defenses to work with. And with an Evolution Stone, you can have well over 300 in either of the defenses, which is amazing and something that you really can't find elsewhere. Now also, this Pokemon has pretty good speed, which is 90, and some decent attack stats to use as well. So, it's a very well-rounded Pokemon, but was obviously outshined because Crobat is better in all areas. But since the Evolution Stone is there, Golbat is now the bulkier one and can do a lot of different things that Crobat really couldn't do as well now, at least. But the main thing about Golbat really great this generation is because of its really unique typing that can be a check to a lot of other Pokemon that are normally really powerful. Now, Poison Flying is one of the few typings that can resist fighting 4 times. Also, you're immune to ground, and you also resist grass 4 times as well. Now, with that, basically, any fighting type Pokemon, barring Terrakion, Gallade, or Medicham, can pretty much do nothing to you, because the 3 Pokemon I just mentioned, I can't even count, have stab super effective moves, with Terrakion's, stab rock moves, and then Medicham's and Gallade's stab poison moves. But anything else that's not using a stab super effective move on Golbat really can't take it out with the pre-evolution stone, which is why it's so great. Now, aside from being a check to fighting types, which are very common, it's also a check to Perversity Gelorda, or Smuglord, whatever you want to call it, because of the fact that it really can only hit you for good damage if it's using a hidden power ice or electric or rock, whatever it wants to use. And it really can't set up using Leaf Storm, because that's going to be doing nothing to you. So that's a really good thing with Golbat as well. So it's really great typing and can be used really well because of its bulkiness due to the Evolution Stone. But enough on that, let's get started by taking a look at a couple sets that you can now use with Golbat to be even better than Crobat as being a defensive Pokemon in Generation 5. So first off, for this set, we're going to be giving Golbat a Bold or Impish Nature depending on which stab move you want to make use of. Bold will increase your physical defense and lower your physical attack, whereas Impish will increase your physical defense and lower your special attack. So either one can work equally well. As for the ability, we're going to be using Inner Focus, and I know I didn't mention Slip Through before, which is its Dream Mode ability, but the thing about Slip Through is that you really don't get to use it that well, since the majority of the good moves, in my opinion, that Golbat can learn are from move tutors in the previous games, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Platinum, whatever, all those. So that's why Inner Focus kind of has to be used, since you can't use Dream World abilities with previous generation move tutors. But as for the EVs, we're going to put 248 into HP to give you an odd numbered HP to allow you to switch it on Stealth Rocks 4 times. I believe that's why it's there. 128 defense EVs to give you half bulky in that stat, plus the bold or impish nature depending on which one you're using, which is also a nice boost to the defense. And then 132 EVs in your special defense to give you some nice bulk into that as well. Now with these defenses, as I mentioned before, you will have over 300 defense in both of these, and that's amazing for any Pokemon, meaning that it can take plenty of hits really well, and also, tank amazingly. But as for the item, obviously, Evolution Stone, which is the item that we're going to be using for all these NFEs, because as I said before, it gives you a +1 boost to your defense and your special defense. As for the moves, though, the first one we're going to be making use of is Super Fang, which is an excellent move on a defensive Pokemon because you can take away half of your opponent's HP right away with no problem, barring they're not a ghost type. But also with that, we could either make use of Air Slash or Fly. Now, both of these have their uses, but Golbat, you should know, has a higher physical attack than a special attack, whereas Air Slash can flinch, but Fly could also be used as a way to Toxic Stall more effectively as well. So either one works, and it's really your decision which one you want to use. But obviously Toxic is there, and then Roost is there as well, to allow you to keep your HP up, and since you have such great defenses, having Roost is an amazing move. And that's also something that a lot of NFEs need to run defensive sets. They need to have a recovery move since they don't have leftovers. But that is pretty much it for this set. As you can see though, it's really bulky, and as I said before in like the introduction and stuff like that, this is essentially a perfect counter to fighting types because they can't hit you for stab moves, and you can obviously hit them back with super effective flying moves with the added bonus of having Super Fang. Also for slower fighting types like Repushin and Machamp, because you'll be faster since Golbat has some nice speed, you'll Roost on a turn and they may use like an Ice Punch or a Stone Edge, and therefore you won't have your flying typing, and they'll just be using a whatever move that it'll be a neutral move, meaning, and it will be unstabbed as well, meaning that they really won't do a lot of damage to you at all. So you can definitely stall out with Toxic easily on these things and really be a powerful counter against them. And I mean, that's one of the great reasons to use Golbat in my opinion because of this. Lastly, I figured I would bring back the Nasty Plot set that Golbat could use in like the lower tiers just to show you guys that it's really effective due to this item. But we're going to be using a Timid Nature this time to increase your speed but lower your physical attack, the ability Inner Focus, and then for the EVs we're putting 4 into your physical defense, 252 into special attack, and 252 into speed. Now even though with this EV spread we're not putting any EVs into the defenses except for that one, but you're still really bulky despite this, and you have, again, I think over 240 defense for both of those defenses. So that's still really great and something you don't really see on a Pokemon that's trying to set up and somewhat sweep to an extent. But with the item, again, we're going to be using an Evolution Stone. But as for the moves, Golbat is very lucky in the fact that it can learn Nasty Plot, which, if you don't know, is a move that increases your special attack by 2 stages every time you use it, so it's like the special variant of Swords Dance. Now with that, you actually have access to a really, really good move pool of special attacking moves, and can give you some really great coverage. First, we're going to be using Air Slash, because that'll be like your main stab move, and it will do a lot of damage to different things. Heat Wave is there to take care of any steel types that will be resisting Air Slash. It's also a great check to Natore, which is a very popular grass steel Pokemon now, so that's great. And after a Nasty Plot, you'll be doing a hell of a lot of damage to it. It also, will one-hit KO a Scizor and things like that. And also with this, we're going to be using Giga Drain as your last move, and this pretty much gives you almost like perfect type coverage, and that's really great for Golbat, because setting up with a Nasty Plot is easier than ever, because you pretty much know you can take a hit with the defensive boosts from Evolution Stone. Also, Giga Drain is very good because of the fact that you don't have a recovery move, because you need Evolution Stone over leftovers, so that will actually help you keep your HP up, which is really great. and can definitely prove that, Golbat can still be an effective special attacker even though it's an NFE. And, with Evolution Stone, you'll be able to take hits better than a Crobat would running a special set. But generally, Crobat has higher speed, so that would be preferred. But if you want to go with a more defensive Pokemon that pretty much does the same exact thing, go with Golbat. And that's pretty much the case for a lot of these NFEs. Basically, you sacrifice greater power for greater defense, but in a lot of cases, you can have a boosting move to pretty much bring them up to the same power as their final evolution, and then also benefit from the greater defense. So it's a really cool kind of trade-off that you make, but it's still very possible to use, the final evolution and the NFE effectively. But that is it for this video, guys. Expect to see a few more of these because a lot of NFEs are really good with this item. But that is it for this video, guys, so take care and goodbye.